So I've been thinking about how I wanted to word this, but I'm just going to come out and say it. I am frustrated, continually frustrated with the fact that I need to constantly overcome barriers that people might have when it comes to AI. And this is not with the people that want to use AI. This is not with organisations that necessarily want to implement it. What it typically is, I find, is with hyperbole in the media, which I know happens in all walks of life, but hyperbole that creates these myths, these fears around AI, and it's hugely frustrating because for someone that works in the AI industry and sees the power that it can have, the good it can do for individuals, teams, and organisations, it's really frustrating to see. So down in the description, there is a link to an article in The Guardian, and that article essentially takes a piece of research done by an independent body, which has been verified by other sources, which is also linked. I'll get to that in a second. But essentially it was talking about the fact that there are ways to jailbreak at least 5 of the LLMs that are currently out there in the marketplace. Those LLMs are unknown, or unnamed, should I say, but regardless, I say it's probably the top ones that we see and hear about every day. So jailbreaking, for those that don't know, essentially is using exploits within the prompting that you're doing, within the prompt engineering, to be able to get the AI to do things it shouldn't be doing. So, for example, breaking the law, introducing bias, being toxic, being rude, advocating for dangerous behaviour, you name it, the safeguards, essentially removing safeguards from AI. Now, all of this is true, so it's not me saying that this isn't the case, but when you put the headlines that they do, which are quite inflammatory, and you don't follow there's no point in the article where they talk about anything positive to do with AI, I find it hugely frustrating. So this is not about teaching people how to do that. There are links talking about jailbreaking, as I say, in the description. There's the Guardian article itself here in the UK, and there's also an article, a blog post by Anthropic, also linked in the description, that you can go and read about their take on jailbreaking. But here's my takeaway. Fundamentally, to jailbreak these AI language models, you need to be going in with the intent to do so. What do I mean by that? In the Guardian article, they cited napalm, like how to make a napalm, for example. That isn't a normal thing for people to be doing, and it's not a responsible thing for people to be doing. So we keep coming back to the point where what we should be advocating for is ethical and safe use of AI, whether it's in individuals or in organisations. But what we've got is an article essentially calling out AI as potentially the doom bringer. And that's not quite the case. It's a tool at the end of the day. I always make this argument that it's a tool. A car in the wrong hands is dangerous. A hammer in the wrong hands is dangerous. And AI should be seen as the same, that it's not, for me at least, it's not the AI and the AI's fault. They are trying to find ways to stop this from happening. Of course they are. All the language models have said that. But at the same time, the inventor of the hammer can't be held accountable for everybody that's ever done harm with that tool, because look at the amount of good it's done in terms of engineering and building and construction. So, let's just see what AI is, which is a tool, and understand that there are always going to be people that try to exploit it, and we should be looking at them and why they're doing what they're doing, rather than necessarily demonizing the tool itself. Rant over.